Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. There we go. Peace, salutations, and all that good stuff. It is QI, unapologetically entering the building. And today, I want to talk about something that has been consistently in the news, something that, I have consistently been talking about. Um, and pretty much this video that I'm doing right now is to raise awareness. This is to raise awareness to something that, like I've been aware of for a while. I've also, in small dosages, have talked about on my channel. And due to the recent events like the Shreveport 8 and the Ashley Janee story, I pretty much, wanted to bring more awareness, especially in the sector, the B sector, where there's predominantly women, um, and the LGBTQIA community. Because the last thing I want to know or want to find out about is that someone was harmed. So I'm here to talk about what's called femicide. And I'm going to also tie it in to some of the groups that are associated with it. Now, like what happens when online ideologies meet violence? Now, the manosphere is a, group of like men that, pretty much focuses on conversations surrounded about men and their relationships to women. Now, the manosphere has grown. They have named themselves, manosphere pill community, red pill, blue pill, MGTOW, men going their own way, Tommy Sotomayor. I mean, it's loads of them on the internet. And they're all over. And here's the thing. You could definitely tell based on, me coming from the conscious community and me seeing like how things have transpired up to now, because they were a small group back then. It may have been 1 or 2 channels. And like I said, they were MGTOW, they got put off. Then we had Tommy, he got put off and banned. I think he's back on here somewhere or whatever. You had Kevin Samuels, just, a host of them, Angry Man, Red Pill, O'Shea, Duke Jackson. It is a host of them. It's a host of them. They're spreading. And there's nothing wrong with men getting together and possibly venting about their issues that they're having with women or anything like that. But it's bad when it turns into targeting women, especially online and offline, because my primary focus is how this online stuff can transpire to offline things. And, like when they have hostility, towards a certain group of women or hostility towards women. And, like we see that far in between. We see it consistently. We see a lot of things that, like, especially in the B sector, that weren't normal, that, have been normalized. Because back, like in the day, B sector women would complain about, oh, the gay men, blah, 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 right? Which, wasn't quite so much of a, threat, but, a lot of the women didn't like didn't like it. They didn't like that men were speaking to them in that manner, right? All right. But it's become a lot more serious when you add men from those manosphere red pill spaces. And they're not going to tell you that they're manosphere or red red pill or blue pill or whatever pill. And all of them, let me just go ahead and say, are not bad. And all of them don't subscribe to, the negative ideology. But it's bad when you add those groups of men, and then, like they're doing a lot of the online dating and different things like that, which that's where, the offline danger can, persist. Not just that, it's a lot of, scamming, scheming, and, just taking advantage of women in general. Now, we've seen the case with the, you know, um, Ashley Janee. We've seen the case with the Shreveport 8. And that's like where one man who had a wife, he was cheating, and had a girlfriend that lived like right around the corner somewhere. And he took out his entire family like just this week, a couple of days ago. Now, of course, right now it raised an alarm in terms of the safety of women and children, and we know that definitely the FBI is probably going to be taking a look into it. But it would definitely be bad if, if this guy came back, as like an avid online supporter of the manosphere. Just like the manosphere is not like one race, it's multiple races. So even with the Ashley Janae situation, we cannot, say that that may not be a manosphere situation, but we do know that that definitely was an online thing. And pretty much why I am raising awareness, because I want for women to be very careful about interacting, getting too close to these men online, and not just on YouTube, but like any app. Be very careful about, getting too close to, strangers offline or people online, because you never know what their mindset is. People often take off their mask after a couple of months, or things may not appear so serious at first. And definitely, you know, adhere to the red flags if you hear, like men often attacking women, or, often attack, because we're often saying that, all they do is attack women. All they do is attack women. Well, that's a red flag. That is a red flag to what type of person, or how that man, may react to women, and not just online, but in real life. Now you can sit and you might want to say, oh, that's just them online, or all their stress, and you might want to make up every excuse in the book. But I just don't want to hear about a situation where the red flags were there, or if they weren't there, and, you know, um, and then it becomes too late. We hear about somebody being put into, or being, you know, harmed, a woman being harmed off of this app. There are, some dangerous men out there. Not all. There's some dangerous women out there. There's some dangerous everybody out there. But specifically with this group of people, they can sometimes call it the, FBI, and different people call them extremists. They say that they're hostile towards women because it's an ideology. It's like, in order for them to grow, they have adapted a lot more men to their ideologies or to their mindsets. I didn't grow up like that. And, like the men in my family, they, weren't like that. So, like a lot of us, we're very uncomfortable from the door. But there might be some people that, may have went through a lot of, childhood trauma and different things of that nature, may have grew up around a lot of chaos, and it seems normal to them. And I'm just here to tell them, as well as anybody else, You do not deserve to be mistreated by anyone, but particularly a man. You don't deserve it. You don't have to conform to it. You don't have to go with it, but especially by all means, pay attention to those red flags. Don't sit and not take it serious, because with the Shreveport 8, the wife, like as they were uncovering what could have possibly happened, the wife, the man said that if she ever tried to divorce him, that he would take her out. And she married him anyways. And this was before marriage. She married him anyways. And this is by no means am I blaming her, because she was probably looking at like, okay, uh he's just playing, you know, he loves me. And then the infidelity and the DV and all of that stuff start happening, just like what, the governor or the guy who was running for governor or whatever. He just took out his, like, he took out, his himself and his wife. And in both situations, and in all situations, like I heard O'Shea Jackson say that, oh, she was the Ashley Janee lady. She was a divester, so she deserved that. Nobody deserved that. And I wish somebody had reached that sister before. I wish she had followed the red flags and followed her first mind and not went, because then she would possibly still be here today. Just like this woman, the Shreveport 8. I wish that she had, hey, I can't, you may be playing, but I can't take that too serious. And I wish before she had even introduced the possibility of a divorce to him, knowing that he had said that, I wish that she had, possibly went to, gotten some assistance from the DV hotline or DV centers and shelters, because then possibly she would still be here as well. Because they were saying that there were some red flags. He was depressed, like he even tried to at one point take himself. They were saying that it was a lot of red flags. And basically, this video that I'm doing is to raise awareness that we cannot keep excusing, we cannot keep looking over these red flags of, like, men becoming violent towards women or children. We can't keep looking over these we can't keep doing that. We're seeing, like, just in this area alone, we're seeing just a lot of little things going on that we're overlooking. And then in most cases, they always like to blame it on the woman. And instead of somebody reaching in and trying to help or help assist or help possibly try to convince that person to get out of that situation. And I know it's not easy. We all know that it's not easy, because a lot of times, that what they call Stockholm syndrome or whatever, they go back. But, like, in the event that if anything were to happen, I wouldn't feel too good if I didn't do anything, if I didn't say anything. If I'm sitting and I'm seeing that this looks bad, this looks dangerous, and I don't say anything. Because, saying something could, not all cases, but it could possibly save somebody's life. I don't want to come on here one day and hear, like the Ashley Janae story, and find out it's somebody within our area of YouTube that we know. I don't want to do that. Imagine how that would be, like that Vegas situation. And we got to stop thinking that this online stuff doesn't carry offline and doesn't become, doesn't, can't take a person's life, or, is going to end safe. That everything is a play. And then when they start investigating and seeing, like the people who are like a lot of these trolls, pay attention to the trolls. I was watching YouTube camera this morning, and I saw Boom Docs or something like that. Catherine Q, I wants to talk to you. No, I don't. I talked to Catherine already. Like, I don't want to be too involved in that situation. I expressed the way I felt about that situation already. But my point is, a lot of these trolls and stuff, a lot of these people, they have no consideration. And some of these trolls are, they may appear to be women under women names, are really men, are really male. A lot of these trolls that don't never come on a panel and may have women avatars may really be males behind these female names and female avatars. And a lot of them are trolling these situations, because they, for whatever reason, whether they're mentally ill or for whatever reason, it appears that they don't have any compassion or any consideration or something for the next person's life, the next person's mental health, the next person's emotions, feelings, or anything. We can clearly see a lot of this stuff going on. It is clear. I've heard so many men, I need to stick this in that. I need to do this, talking way too explicit about women. And that is so uncomfortable to me. Because if you could come online and say those things, what makes me believe that you are not doing that offline, or you won't do that offline? Because you're basically almost forcing or saying that you're overly entitled to, a woman's being, a woman's physical. And that's not right. That is not, I'm concerned about that. That's why you hear me speaking up about men talking under women's clothes and even women talking under women's clothes. We don't want to normalize that kind of behavior, because the more normal it becomes, the more insensitive we are to it, the more likely women are going to fall prey, or people are going to fall prey to that type of behavior. And like, you just can't be inviting any man around your children, any man to your home, any man, like, hey, there ain't nothing like, if any, the best thing to do is to do a background check or something like that. And, or, investigate that man, investigate before you just decide to even give out a Google number or give any access. Because, the life you save could be your own. I know you don't want your friend or your favorite CC or you don't want to hear that about anybody on here. Whether you like them or not, I don't want to hear anything like that on here in this area, especially with everybody trying to come up under the umbrella of the beef sector. Because what is going to happen is, like, not going to be, oh, the manosphere did it. It's going to be the beef sector. And the beef sector, just like the Vegas sector, it's going to be the beef sector. Just like with that Yusuf situation, they were trying to put it on the beef sector. I don't want to be associated with anything of that nature. That's why I'm glad I'm not an OG or anything like that. And that's why I'm trying to pull back as much as possible. Because when I see all these I don't want any association with this kind of behavior or anything, because I'm not about that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to be a part of that. And if I see something, I'm going to speak up about it and just keep right on tracking. Like they say, I get it. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't always make it drink. But at least I know I feel better. I don't know. I will feel better, at least if I know that I've said something to an individual. Like, I tried. I may not have succeeded, but I tried. So like I said, I just want, like, especially the women in the B sector, Mo3 sector, black sector, any of these sectors to just, pay attention And just be careful and don't ignore the red flags, because I do not want to. I'm seeing too much, and I do not want to hear anybody being put in any type of situation, anybody losing their life. Be careful about these pull-ups and stuff like that. This is not that serious. We're on here because this is for a lot of people. We're looking at this like it's an extra stream of income, and which a lot of this stuff that we're pretty much participating in these areas and sectors are not YouTube friendly anymore. They're not under the guidelines, and more YouTube is getting stricter and stricter. And like a lot of times it's AI and not people striking a channel that's taking down these channels, because YouTube just left court for this stuff, because now, whereas YouTube or Google was not responsible for a lot of this stuff before, now the courts are saying that they're responsible, because they're looking at it like YouTube needs to do more about regulating this type of behavior that's happening online. So if we care, you want your channel, you want to be here or whatever, be very, very careful about that. And then, like we got to look at shadow ban, how people are grouped together based on the behavior. Like we got to look at how, people, calls are made to CPS, calls are made to calls. So if y'all think that, the FBI ain't dropping down and looking at this and watching this, they're probably listening to me right now, and I don't mind. That's one of the reasons why I would prefer to speak out, because I don't want to be caught in a group that's under investigation and end up getting in any trouble behind something that was done. So heed the warning, and y'all just pay attention, and by all means, please be careful. And and that likewise to like, and all men are not like this. Let me just make sure that I say that all men that may be in those spaces and different things, they're not like this, but are not necessarily all like that, extremists and violent and hostile towards women. But I'm just saying, look out for the red flags, and even I'm calling like for the men to step up. A lot of times they like to call men like they're simps and make them feel bad for stepping up for a woman. But I'm here to tell those men, don't, because it could be your daughter, it could be your cousin, it could be somebody in your family. And then I'm sure that nobody wants to hear about anything happening to anybody on here and them, not doing anything about it. But, I just want to come on and, like I said, this video is to educate and raise awareness to like the sincerity and the fact that this is not a small problem. It's almost like a crisis and an epidemic. It is already under investigation and things of that nature. And they've been online. And I've been saying this. I've been saying this. And this is why I wasn't necessarily like with merging with anybody or anything, because it could be a detriment. You're looking at growing, but all you're doing is bringing in, people and limiting yourself from higher growth, because you're caught in with, people who have been shadow banned or casted out, in the algorithm due to the cause, the behavior, the blah, 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 the blah, blah, blah. So I hope, that, my message reaches out to people. And I hope that, I'm really hoping that we don't see anything like that. I'm hoping that, like people adhere to like these red flags and things of that nature, and realize that no one deserves that. No one deserves to be unalive. Nobody deserves nobody can don't ever let people tell you that people deserve this just because of a bad decision, a choice, or whatever. Nobody deserves this. Nobody has a right to do harm to the next person or take another person's. Nobody has that right. I don't care what gender, what orientation, or whatever it be. Nobody has a right. So until next time, peace, love, hair grease, and all that good stuff. It is unapologetically QI, and I am now going to exit the building. Y'all make sure y'all smash that like button, share, and by all means, if you're new to the city, if you're new to the think tank, then subscribe and feel free to leave a comment, even suggesting other topics and topics that you may want me to speak on. I'm trying to, basically find a niche. I like talking about more serious things or more things that can help us or benefit us, especially within our community, but in humanity as a whole. But like I said, until next time, I'm now signing off. It is QI exit in the building. Love one.